All right, welcome back to the Wallace branch. And we are looking at, gosh, who is this? I think it's Hank Williams. Hank Williams, for some reason, got assigned to the helper engine in the rear. I got some different things that had to reset, so some of the locomotive engineers got reassigned to new locations. And so there's actually nobody in the lead engine here for some reason. This train is heading up with a bunch of daily tasks going up to Lookout, and we rarely get to see this part of the map because so often we're dealing with switching, as is only fair. It's the main activity on the route, not scenery. But yeah, we're coming up the eastern side of Lookout Pass over some trestles and about to cross the little highway, the old highway, U.S. highway, that connected to Wallace back in the olden days before the interstate. Of course, nothing is left of what you see here, except that I believe the train tracks are still a rails to trails area, although my understanding is that the tunnel, the Borax Tunnel, which we're coming up to, that is closed because of some dangerous conditions inside, the potential roof collapse, or maybe the roof has already collapsed, I'm not sure. So the TOFC are going to Wallace, and the wheat are going to Wallace, so it's really a matter of getting that caboose on the end of the train there. And I wonder if this is something where a switch engine can help us out. I thought we had... yes, we have several other trains hanging out. You know, the NP and the UP have amazing coordination. But then sometimes, like a situation like this, coordination kind of breaks down. So let's take this NB switch engine, get it out of the way, and then bring the RS2 from the Union Pacific in with those ore cars, and then help get the caboose onto Alan Alda's train. That seems reasonable. Let's line this RS3 up correctly. Looking good. Let's have go here. Oops, not there. Here and then there. Yes, that's good. And while we're at it, let's also get you in motion. Who do we have here? Is it Tasha? I don't think so. That is Tasha Yar. Do we have two Tasha Yars now? We do. Yeah, that's one thing that got messed up. Something to be corrected soon enough. Share days. Beep boop, just here to say hi. Hello. Sherde says, two Tasha Yars isn't so unbelievable considering certain Star Trek stories. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe one is a Romulan. Yeah, and we are still sorting out some of these today tasks, and there's going to be a lot of switching, I think, in this episode, but I could be wrong. I do not know everything that's going to happen in advance. Because why would I? Sherde says, I was thinking more in the direction of the TOS episode, The Enemy Within. Indeed. So I think if we bring this Tasha number 2, if we bring this Tasha in on the track we are currently on, leave the work cars then in place. Let's have you can stop, and then come around with that caboose onto UP track number 2. How does that sound? Okay, everything's lined up. It's always risky when we've got 2 trains in motion. Okay, this is all looking good. Oh, you can stop here, so you can leave these ore cars. Kind of lost track of the ore cars. Shirday says, you know, I am Kirk. Sorry, my throat is a little dry. I can't shout. I think it would overwhelm my headphones anyway. Insert vituperative William Shatner voice. Okay, got a switch thrown ahead of us. It's okay though. Not complaining. Yes, that looks good. Okay, now you can stop. Tasha 2 can stop. And Alan Alda can stop. All right, here we go. Sheridan says, one thing I've learned about trains, if everything's looking good, that just means you're not spotted the issue yet. Well, I'm sure there is some issue. That was a close one. Yeah, it's reading chat plus multitasking. Throw in multitasking and then throw that together with reading chat. That's where I really get into trouble. But yeah, in terms of update on the route, I did a couple things here. I'm coming back to this route after 2 weeks without streaming it. And so I'm a little bit out of balance with what's been going on in the last episode. But I did have on my spreadsheet that I needed to fix a couple things, one of which was that there was an issue with the beer loading track in Haugen, Montana. You know, not loading the beer. And there'd been this train that was sitting there for, you know, all of yesterday, basically, game time. And I had tried to fiddle with it. I tried zeroing it out and resetting it and everything. And so I devoted some reasonably painful amount of time to actually doing everything that I could do to try to make that work. Like, for example, deleting all the cars, putting new cars down, testing if that worked, deleting the track, putting a new multi-industry track down, reprogramming it, checking to see if the cars actually accepted that load, which they do. Basically everything. Oh, and making sure everything was all on the same layer. I tried that as well. Not that that affected any of my other MI2s, which are all on crazy different layers. But yeah, just couldn't get it to work. And so I ended up deciding that it's big enough issue that I replaced it with the multi-industry new, and of course I'm going to come back to it. Oh, I also tested on just a blank square baseboard. What if I just put down MI2, beer, and the same train cars, and some other train cars, and see if it works then? And then it worked fine. So it does seem to be something on the route is bugging that track out. Very frustrating. I think there is another step that I can take, which is I can open up the route with that asset on it and see what little bug symbols appear under debugging mode. But I was already having the logs open, so I don't know if that's really going to reveal any new information that will help. Having a few multi-industry news on a route that's otherwise satisfactory is fine. Not ideal, but fine. Okay, so let's have you drive on to Mullen. Alan Alda, going to Mullen. Drive via Mullen, UP. I don't want to go to UP where. I'm not going to make that mistake twice. Let's do morning. No, let's do NP Main. Because there are some trains over there that I want to have a look at before we get any further down that. Okay, now these TOFCs need to go to, they're kind of in the wrong order, aren't they? TOFCs need to go to the warehouse here, and then the wheat covered hoppers, they need to go to the other side of Wallace. I'm sort of inclined to deliver those first. I wonder if that's a task that's supposed to be performed by the NP or by the UP. And I do have, for every industry, I do have an indication of whether it's being serviced by which railroad. And Wallace Grain Warehouse is the UP, which makes sense. So we have to bring our RS2 into action again. But I think ideally I would like this RS2 to handle the TOFCs and have somebody else handle the grain cars. No special reason, but I think there should be enough UP locomotives around and about to be able to handle that. And both are today tasks, so they're both quasi-urgent, although it's 9:15 in the morning, so we do have time. Sharedeye says, yeah, on the MVR, there was an issue with one instance of the original multi-industry where renaming it just would not stick. It worked fine, and if I deleted it and placed it down again, it worked. It's just that specific instance didn't seem to save its name change. Since I'd already used it in sessions, I just left it. Yeah, it's so weird the way it's sometimes. I mean, it's just generally an issue with computer bugs that you can't identify, where it's like, you don't know what the problem is. Of course, this is a complicated enough game with all these user-created assets that how are we, third parties like ourselves, ever going to know all the ins and outs of what could be bugging things out? Actually, are we third parties or are we second parties since we're the consumer? We're both users, creators, and consumers, all three. So we're sort of like the second party. Shared says, we aren't just second or third parties, we're the party. Confetti. I like your thinking. It is Friday, so it would be good to be the party. If you're into parties. Always good to check those switches. Yeah, I think it's just going to put these on UP track number 2 and then start with the TOFCs first, because they take a while to run through. Might as well get them started. And of course, we'll be having an eagle eye out for any malfunctioning industry tracks. Sorry about that. I'm guessing that our NP local has actually reached the top of Lookout Pass, so we might want to go back there. Oh yeah, I forgot I was looking for Hank Williams, not for the BN units. Yes, it is at Lookout Pass. Still that one little lonely reefer sitting here. It's been sitting there since I think I started this playthrough. Since before I started this playthrough, actually. So it's actually this straight and that straight. Okay. I like that view with the shimmering metal of the Wallace concentrator, Hercules concentrator. Okay, Sherday says, gotta go have fun with the rest of the stream. Keep an eye out for tachyon trails. Nice, yeah, thanks for joining. Alcinor says, how do you make junctions in yards? I hope this time I have finished the westbound side of Inglewood. Oh, how do you name junctions? Yeah, I name them. Yeah, and I should actually go back and do the signals, but you can just look at a route that you like and take them the way you like, but, you know, usually west, east, south, north. Track 1 is there might be a main line, and then this track, the second track might be track 1. In this case, it's a rather complicated yard, and I didn't feel like wanted to name any of these tracks as the main line, so I just called this UP track 1 west. It's not complicated. I'm sure that you could figure out a way to make it more complicated, though. Basically, what effect that has is that when you mouse over, you see a name, and that might clue you into what industry it's serving, in case you're in an area you haven't come back to a lot. In this case, I feel like it's useful, because in the corner there'll be a message like, approaching such and such junction in 328 feet. And that's where I feel like, oh, it's useful to actually know what junction that is. And I also think it would be useful to know signal numbers. Because, you know, a lot of times when somebody is stuck, they'll say like, I don't know, when there's a derailment. Yeah, when there's about to be a derailment, you'll see something like, so-and-so engineer has passed signal, and then a bunch of numbers at danger. And you're like, what signal would that be? Or even worse is, Consist 368 has passed signal blah 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 at danger. And you're like, okay, if you have no clue what consist could have gotten away from you, then you just have to search the entire route or guess. Or wait until you see the derailed cars if they haven't disappeared already. So just there in the corner, you saw approaching Wallace Industry Track 3. That's a junction here. But yeah, it's not mission critical to name those things. It's for if you're planning to play the route a lot. Pretty good, I dare say. So I guess I could come back with that same locomotive, but we better deal with the other matters first. Let's save it. Shall we go to Alan Alda? Will the real Alan Alda please stand up? Okay, fortunately, Alan Alda is not to the destination yet. And that's good. Because I wanted to check all these tracks. I remember that there are some ore cars hanging out somewhere. There's some ore cars, there's some covered hoppers, there's all sorts of mess going on over here. Where are the ore cars, though? I thought there was a whole string of ore cars over in this area. Oh, they're there. Well, that's good in the sense that I thought they were there, and they are there. Well, maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these reefers on this main line track. And then I'm going to collect those ore cars. Now you may notice that these are some GP38-2s, and those are the wigwag simulation cars, train locomotives that I used to replace the very beautiful but SP repaints that I had been using. And I don't want to be critical, but I would have to say that the weathering is not to my satisfaction. I really liked the others, partly because the weathering was much better than what I could do, and for this one, my own locomotives, I think, are more nicely weathered than this, I guess, rather older model, I suspect. The cab on the SP repaint model is also nicer, but they're both pretty good. I'm not going to criticize the cab. It's more the exterior that's, to me, not quite what I'm looking for. But as I said, I'm not planning to make every single locomotive that I use on the route myself. And otherwise, I would say this is a great model. Now, see, Woody Harrelson pass signal at danger. We're going to have to check that out. Oh, that's actually, that is who we are right now. We're passing the signal at danger because there's a bunch of ore cars we have to pick up. Yeah, I momentarily thought Woody Harrelson was the BN train coming from the other direction. So yeah, passing that danger, no problem. And I do very much hope that the AI train would not have a problem here. That it would stop in time, not run over these ore cars. I like the sounds on these locomotives. Switching directions. Aha. Not only did that train not have a problem, it is rushing through the scene. Look at that. I should have taken that switch. Sorry about that. Bring back our UI. It's nice to enjoy the scenery every now and then, but yeah, we need to stop this locomotive here, I think. Stop this one here. Okay, let's bring you forward. And once again, we have complex switching operation underway here. How would they do this in real life? I just have no idea. But we do need to push this little train here forward and get the reefers here into that Mullen warehouse on the UP side. And meanwhile, we can send the ore cars on to Hunter, which is just on the other side of town. And that is looking very, very feasible. We don't need a caboose for that action because basically everything is in the same town. It's all just a switching move. People in the caboose got to be prepared to get jostled. I have to believe that they've gotten out. They've gone off shift. Get another meet here, another nice shot. There we go. Okay, that should be far enough. Okay, so for this, ooh, the train really slowed down there for us. Seemed to slow down. I guess that switch is more sharper than I thought. But I think what we want to do is actually we want to slow this guy way down. Oh, sorry. Pause, pause, pause. That's not what I wanted to do. Now, did I accidentally stop this train in the middle of the intersection? Yeah, let's just pull you forward a little bit so cars aren't getting blocked, sandbagged. And there's a little texture error that I haven't noticed before. It seems like maybe there's some corruption in the route there happened. I'm not sure, because that would have noticed that before, I think. Oh, yeah, see, look what we did here. Yeah, it's passed by this intersection many, many times. Feels like there's just no way that I would not have noticed that. But I could be wrong, could be wrong. You know, sometimes the fact that this area is in shadow so frequently. Okay, I think probably this industry can accept 2 cars at a time, but it could be 3. Could be 3. Alcinor says, oops, hey, understand, computer glitches, either machine or human happen. Yep, well, that was clearly a human mistake. It was all too human. It was a human mistake, human error, mouse click. Not a computer glitch, but it's just something that would not happen in reality. Now, of course, there's a lot of mistakes that are more borderline. They wouldn't happen in reality because there are systems that exist and you'd have one person focusing on that task as opposed to multitasking the way I am. That's completely different. No, didn't quite clear it. There we go. So we're spending a lot of time on this because this is one of those all-important today tasks. And that's one thing that is going to make the playthrough more interesting and more random. I had done several tests of this route, playthroughs, what I call playthrough, or session. You could call it a session, but I don't think that that term is more confusing than it is helpful. What I call a playthrough is the computer generates a list of tasks that could plausibly be finished in a work week. And then you run through those tasks, but what I found is that essentially I planned out the tasks well enough in advance so that I did the hard ones first, and then the end ones were sort of like things that I didn't have to pay attention to or figure out because I'd already thought through them so far in advance. It was more like, okay, just watching the trains do them at that point. So the fact of adding in a little bit of extra randomness each day while also having some long-term tasks, that actually keeps it very much more interesting than it would otherwise be. And it's not totally random. Not all the tasks are today tasks, right? Maybe at the tail end of the stream, I will do a little bit of a walkthrough of where the spreadsheet stands. Check to make sure that these actually have the... Oh, they have wine. I forgot. Okay, that didn't... because I was spreadsheeting a little bit too much there. So... Okay, easily gonna fit 3 cars here. I'm gonna try for 4. So originally what I had was I had both these loading tracks on the same track, which makes sense because wouldn't there be one track for loading and unloading stuff on this siding? But then I thought, well, then you would never be able to go through in motion with a full train and know which cars are getting which item. Now, it's not really true because you could break up the train so you knew exactly which was getting which. But I still don't know. I still don't know which I prefer. And I am going to add some little loading chutes. But yeah, let's pull forward. Oops. Yeah, I wonder if it was a texture replacement. A rogue texture replacement came through and messed up my textures. It's very, very possible. It's at least plausible. And they are nice. They're too nice and pretty looking. Sounds are great, though. Okay, let's see if we can manage this operation without getting too much. And again, this is another one of those has no basis in reality type situations where there could just be one chute, right? Well, actually, the lead and silver ore would not be 2 different things. They would be a single ore, which would, I guess, be separated out. So that's another departure from reality. Since I created both of these products, I created both of these loads, I could certainly adjust it so that it was just called ore. There is our silver. Glad to say it's working. Yeah, I need to create a couple tipples. That's gonna help with the realism a lot, I think. And I could even have the tipples as labeled as, okay, this is silver, this is lead, so that you don't need to show the commodities in order to see them. But yeah, this is going well. I cannot believe that our time is almost up and we haven't gotten back to Lookout Pass. And we haven't gotten back to the TOFCs, so we need to do some quick moves towards the end of this stream. Alrighty. But incidentally, filling up that one ore car, that counts as one task, right? Yeah, that's one task. I mean, the randomizer does occasionally do that where, I mean, for the most part, I have the randomizer set to pick up between 3 and X number of cars, or let's say between 3 and 10, or between 5 and 15, or between 10 and 20. It doesn't give you one very often, but for those that are, there are a few that are 0 to 20 or 0 to 5 or something like that. These cars are still tagged with their old tags. I think they already handled the Hercules task before. Okay, don't tell me this track is also malfunctioning. Or maybe the wine is supposed to actually go to the other side of that. That would be interesting. Let's have a look at that. You know what? I'm looking at the spreadsheet. I'm embarrassed to say the wine was actually supposed to go to Wallace. I wonder if it's even tagged as it's supposed to go to Wallace. It is. Ridiculous. Okay, my bad. Now this is hops, I believe. Okay, that's loading. Good. So it is a today task, it is urgent, and it got delivered to the wrong warehouse. And of course, somebody in management was thinking, God, can't the people of Wallace, can't the good people of Wallace just drive over to Mullen for the next week or so for their wine? I mean, is it really that far? Okay, let's go to UP track 2. Wallace Yard, UP track 2. And if we got one of these tasks, 2 tasks done today, I'll feel that this rather large and time-consuming mistake will not have made the entire episode a waste of time. You know what I think we're going to do, though? I think we're going to stop the train again, having a rethink again, because if we can combine these 2 trains, that would also be helpful, right? Okay, if we run the train down this way, yes. Yeah, if I checked the commodities, perhaps it would have clued me in that wine is actually not going to Mullen. It's been a while since I programmed all the destinations, and I did create some sense of randomness. But that was a really weird, the way the coupler symbol looked there. See how there's a bunch of coupler symbols all the way in the background there? Is that indicating that there's a train underground somewhere? Let me look at this again from this angle. If I turn in this direction, do I see a bunch of coupler symbols? It's only at the, oh, there they are. They're following the train, though. It's like the shadow of the train somehow. Alright, I don't know why it just flipped a switch for me there. Oh, it flipped that switch, I guess? Oh, okay. That's a good one. Good call. Sometimes the derailment prevention rule is... it's eager to second guess it. Easy to second guess it, or too eager to second guess it. So in my first couple playthroughs of the Wallace branch, I still had several derailments. And in both the playthrough of the Wallace branch and also the PMB, I have not had any derailments. Now this, I would say, this is the first significant screw-up. Delivering an entire string of cars to the wrong industry. But it does have this one salutary effect, which is that we've got a ton of cabooses that we can use to take back all these cars. Now, I guess we had a caboose here anyway, but whatever. And then we got one nice big train. It's not a DPU. This is not DPU days. We have a lot of power on this train, that's for sure. 1,600 tons. Must have at least double the power that we actually need. Alright, now we take it to Wallace Track 2. Continue schedule. No, we ran the switch. I thought the derailment prevention rule would prevent that. I guess because we're going backwards. Alright, let's see if we can make progress on this now. Alistair says, there are so many times when I wish you could lock camera movements to the cardinal points. Definitely navigating around is a little fiddly. And you can press shift to slow the navigation slightly, which I have found extremely useful. Oops. Oops, 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 oops. Here we go. There we go. It's kind of exciting, isn't it? Come on. Oh, in the doghouse. Elsinore says, thanks for that tip. Cough, cough. So smoky, I like it. Oh. We are getting whipped around all different directions, aren't we? Okay, maybe this is not the best view. I wonder if is there a line side view here? I thought there would be more line side views, but... There it is, Lookout Pass. All the terrain is real. Nothing from the imagination.
Detector milepost 111.0. Detector milepost 111.0. No defects. Total axles 2. 4. Train speed 2. 3. mph. Detector out.
Okay, so I think this first one is Cox, and the second one is Chester. We'll have a very close look when we pass by. And I'm very curious, I did not find any photos of what these logging camps and their little sightings might have looked like. I don't think that they were around for very long, that's for sure. Yeah, Cox Spur. Real place, real spur track. But what did it look like? I do not know that. Did I not adjust the radius of this switch? Going downhill? No problem. Stopping? That's not so easy. I'm hoping that this would be easier with a diesel. I mean, don't know. Dang. It's kind of ridiculous. I thought I had timed it very well. But had actually overshot it by almost the full length of the stupid train. for some of these tracks, I really do need to have little barrels to indicate where the start and stop part of the loading track is. Is that good, do we think? I'm going to center it right there. Oh, it's already loading. Great. So, drive to, look out past track 2. No, track 3. Okay, I think this is where we're going to leave you. We'll be just taking this car out. So we can only deposit one at a time. So, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I certainly did, although I would have to say this was one of the more messy streams. It's going to be a little bit tough to edit, and it's going to be tough to explain how I could have made such a time-consuming mistake. Not a bad mistake, but time-consuming mistake. It's very unfortunate, because we could have dropped those cars off here, but instead we wasted a bunch of time. That's not good. But anyway, we'll be back next time, and presumably next time I will have much more leisure to prepare in advance like I normally do, and I won't make any mistakes like that. So once again, thank you for joining. Hope to see you again next time.